everyone. Welcome to this CodeHS webinar. We'll give you a few more seconds to get settled, get your Q&A pulled up if you have any questions. We are anticipating a rather large group today, so we are not going to use the chat. Instead, we will just be using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your Zoom window. I will be putting some links in the chat to send out to the group every now and again. But if you have a question and you would like Shofen to answer any questions, please put those in the Q&A. So I am going to first give you access to our slide deck. So in the chat, there is a link to these slides so that you can refer back to them at any time after this webinar. You will also get a recording of today's webinar. So we have lots of resources to share for you, and we're so happy that our resident expert in all things AP-CSP, Shofen, is here to present to you. So Shofen, if you would like to go to the next slide, and if you want to introduce yourself and tell us about your experience. You have so much important experience with this CSP course, and we want to hear all about it.
Thank you, Stephanie. Hi, everyone. My name is Shofen Jacobson. I am a AP Computer Science Principles teacher at Bonnetown Ridge High School in CMS in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I have been teaching this course since the course was first launched, 2016. And then I have been a AP scorer for this course since 2017. And I have tried so many things in my classroom, and that's why I'm here today to share my experiences with you, and then hopefully you guys find enjoyable, and then find you can take home with you and use it and help your kids to have success in your class. And I also teach AP Computer Science A, and I'm so glad you are here.
Thank you, Shofen. If you will move on to the next slide for me, please. I will once again put a link to the slides in the chat for those who are just joining us. But today we are going to cover the AP-CSP CodeHS materials to support your students for the AP-CSP exam. And specifically today, we're here to talk about the Create task, which is coming up for your students. And Shofen is going to share some of her tips and tricks and secrets to success with you. And we will share many resources with you and ensure that you and your students are feeling confident going into the AP testing season. Shofen, if you'll go to the next slide, please. Again, we do have a fairly large group here today, and so if you have questions at any time during this presentation, please use the Q&A in order to ask your questions. We do have some CodeHS helpers here who have taught CSP before and can answer your questions in the Q&A. If any really insightful questions come through, I might bubble those up to Shofen during the presentation. So please use the Q&A. Next slide, please. If you do not have a CodeHS account, we encourage you to sign up for one. Check out our wonderful free AP-CSP curriculum and also many resources that Shofen is going to show to you outside of the course materials for AP-CSP. You'll also want to go ahead and sign in to your CodeHS account, because what we're going to ask you to do right now is use a link to indicate your attendance here today, and this will also get you a certificate of completion. So Shofen, if you'll go to the next slide, please. All you have to do is be logged into your CodeHS account. Make sure you're logged in first. Then click on this certificate of completion link, which is in the chat. And all it will do is take you to a slide or a page on the CodeHS website that says, "Thank you for attending." That's all we need you to do in order to get your certificate of completion. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, CodeHS is a comprehensive computer science curriculum built for K through 12 classrooms, and we are a web-based platform with wonderful free curriculum. Our 6th grade through 12th grade curriculum is always free, but we also have some wonderful teacher tools that you can access with a pro license. Again, all this web-based, so very streamlined usage for you and for your students. Shofin, if you'll go to the next slide. So those pro teacher tools I was talking about, a grade book, feedback and conversation tools and announcement tools, LMS kind of tools for your students. We have academic integrity tools. We have so many wonderful tools to help you be a more efficient teacher. We know that a teacher's time is best spent in the classroom with students. And so we build high quality instructional materials and hopefully very useful tools for our teachers in the hopes that we can bring computer science learning to all students. So now I'm going to hand it over to Shofin, and she's going to get us into the world of all things AP-CSP Create Task.
Thank you, Stephanie. I really like how Stephanie introduced the Code High School curriculum, and it's truly. So I said I have tried so many things in my classroom for AP Computer Science principles as well as AP Computer Science A, among all the curriculum resources I have shared, I have tried. I stay with Code High School. It's just well designed. Here's the reason. So my students love the logic flow of this course. So if you get to the lesson get chunked into smaller bite pieces. For example, video, and then or PowerPoint, and then check for understanding, and then go to play the code and see how it's run, and then they design their own apps. It's just psychologically suited for K-12 students. And another part of it, the students really love it, is the clarity of the instruction. So they didn't give you too much, also didn't give you too little. It's really a right amount of instruction so the kids can dive in, can explore, can try, and can really experience computer science. The success is try and error and fix it and grow. It's really awesome curriculum platform. And for the teachers, we love ease of grading. And we love the solution and the supplemental materials. And it's really, like Stephanie said, is one-stopping shop. You can get everything here. You don't have to go anywhere. It's just so well designed. So now we get to the create task. This one, you have this module in Code High School. Either you use Python course, you use JavaScript, or you use cybersecurity. Is in Unit 16 for both JavaScript and then the Python course. I'm going to show you quickly what it looks like in the session. So you can share this one with your students, especially when you roll out the create test, which I'm assuming you're gonna do that soon if you have already started. So it's really helpful because might forgot about something, and then you can just refer to the unit 16, have everything they need to know about create task. So this is the unit. Okay, so what I like the most about it is the sample AP Computer Science performance task. You have a sample, you have Python version of it, and then JavaScript version of it. You also have the written response analysis. It's a really great, resource for you and for your students. So if they ever forgot about something about a create task, or they get a panic, they have to do it on their own, gave them this unit 16. They will help them a lot. All right, so next one, we talk about this create task. So what is a crit test? It worth 30% of the AP score.
Shofin, I'm going to interrupt you really quickly. Could you make it full screen so we could see the text? Thank you.
Okay, so this crit test is worth 30% of the AP score. So students will design and implement a computational innovation to solve a problem, or explore their personal interest, or to express creativity. It doesn't matter which one it is, as long as they based on their needs or personalized needs to create something digitally. Okay, so they can use any languages they want, but we recommend they use the language they used in class. Okay, so and then the students can collaborate with another students or other two students to design and then to develop this program, but they cannot collaborate on the video creation and the PPR. We're going to get detail into this piece later. So based on the curricular standard, they need to have at least 9 class hours to complete this test. We as AP Computer Science principals teacher are obligated to give them a 9 class hour to finish this one. They need more, they can find their own time. So come to scoring. So before they sit in the AP exam on May 15th, 12 p.m., they will earn 2 points based on their the crit test scoring guideline. That's worth 10% of their AP score. And then the 4 points or 20% of the crit test they will earn it during their AP exam. The last hour of the AP exam, they're gonna answer the 4 written responses based on the PPR they submitted into College Board. So this is the basics. This is the nutshell of the crit test. So now let's take a look at this curricular requirements. There are 11 of them. I just want to mention it here. So the curriculum 4 to 9, including all the computational thinking practices. The practices 1 to 4 go across all the rows of crit test. It's absolutely important. We want to teach the kids about those skills. At this point, I think everyone of us already go through computational thinking practices and help the kids to develop deeper understanding of the concept and the skills. And then this one is not, like Stephanie said, it's not the focus for today, but I just want to mention to you all that we are obligated or required to provide a minimum 3 opportunities for students to investigate different computational innovation. 3, for example, ChatGPT, AI, or self-driving car. Help them analyze the impact on society, on economy, on data security, on privacy. And you're gonna have like 5 questions on AP exam for this, and they have to read a passage. It's informational reading. It's harder for them, especially if the first language is not English. We really want to model this. Based on North Carolina performance or global performance on this piece of the curricular standard is not very high, okay? So the last one is 9 hours crit test. So this is the curricular standard. I printed out, hung my wall, so I know it. So now we talk about these 3 pieces. This 3 pieces is gonna help our kids earn 10 points before they sit in to the AP exam. I want to just say this loud and clear. My goal for my students, every students I want them to earn this 10 points. I will show you how, okay? This is really important. This is the easy part of the crit test. And if your kids can earn this 10 points before they sit in the AP exam, you can move them from 2 to 3, and move 3 to 4 is really, really productive and effective. So the program code, they can work together, like I mentioned before, but the video, they have to work independently. And then the PPR, they have to create independently. So today I'm going to show you many resources and show you how have I helped my students to master this part of the create task. And then I will show you, but this is the piece we need to submit, package up, and submit to College Board by April 3rd, 11 a.m. So it's really important we meet this deadline. Let's see if you have some students really struggling with the concept and skills you taught throughout the class, throughout the school year so far. But please work with them to build this one, help them to submit to College Board, because this can give them a huge boost, okay? So this is the IPR.
I'm going to interrupt with one question.
Yep.
I think it's related to what you're talking about. Can you explain more about how much teachers can help with the starter code? I just presented that to my students today. I am on level 2 of the CPT, and before they begin, I just want to make sure I understand what that means.
The starter code, you can give them a starter code. For example, if you teach BGC, you have a shopping list, you have the quiz game, you can give the starter code to the students, but the kids have to cite it in their source code. I know BGC, you can put a comment in it saying, this is the starter code my teacher gave it to me. Based on this, I built it up. I built it up with my partner, and then I build up using the AI, but they have to cite exactly what they use to help them build up. If they build up independently, they don't have to see anything, but they do have to cite anything isn't their not own creation. A piece of image and then piece of music, is everything is not theirs. They have to cite it in their code. So they can use comment. Python, you can use comment. JavaScript, you can use comment. And then Java, you can also. I hope I have answered your question. But other than that, the teacher have to back off. No more. Are we good on this one? Okay. So now this is the instructional planning report. Based on this, you can tell the 4 computational thinking practices really have huge weight lot in the multiple choice part of it, but I'm not gonna go too deep on this. The bottom line is, if you want your kids to be successful with this course, computational thinking practices need to be taught from beginning of the school year. And then this one is programming code requirement. So this is the piece I really want to make it clear, so we know how do we help our high flyers to get high performer PPR, and how can we help the kids who are struggling with this course still get the 10% of the AP score. Okay, so the instruction for input, you can, so the 6 curricular requirement, one of it is you have to have input. You have to have input to your code. When you run the code, you have to see your kids type in something, and then your code respond to that piece of information, and it turn out to something else. If the kids can do this, you just videotape it, and in the video part, you earn the point. That's 5 multiple choice credit. It's really easy to make. And then the second part, you have to have at least one list or any collection type, array, 2D array, whatever, dictionary. And then that list has been used to fulfill the program purpose. So we're gonna look into, I'm gonna show you example, and then you can just tell what is that. And then you have to have at least one procedure. And then the procedure's name has to be used, for example, Python dev procedure that's indicated your students develop this procedure. And return type is as needed, and absolutely you need to have one or more parameter. And then You have to have sequencing, selection, and iteration for your algorithm. The kids, some of the kids who are struggling with the course, they might not know what is selection. Make it a big poster on the wall. Selection, if statement, if else, and then iteration, for loop, while loop, and repeat until. Just give them the terminology so they can identify. And a calls to the procedure, use argument. And then the instruction for output doesn't matter. In this case, we just use kids typing on the keyboard and come something out else on the screen. That's sufficient. So this is this piece. And then procedure. This is a part of component C, part of the personal project reference. I use PPC. So this page is super important. We want the kids to understand the language of it. So you have 1 or 2 under procedure. So this is what, when you read the written response questions, the college board gonna word this week. Part I of the procedure session of the PPR, part double I or 2 of the procedure part of the PPR. Really help your kids to understand this language so they won't write based on the different chunk of the code they submitted to College Board. And then the list, the same thing. Part I of the list session of the PPR and part 2 or double I list session of the PPR. Get your students used to this language, okay? So this is very important. So the part 1 is a procedure. You have to have procedure name. You have to have 1 or more parameter. We're going to take a look at it. You're going to implement algorithm, including sequencing, selection, and iteration. Sequencing is very easy to be satisfied. If you have more than 1 line of code, you have a sequencing. But selection and iteration, the kids sometimes just focus on one and miss another. Just train them to have both inside the procedure. The second part is a procedure call with argument. We know all this. And then there's a huge misunderstanding of this piece. So first piece is how data get stored on the list. And then the second one, exactly this same list you identified in the part 1 of the list of this PPR being used to manage complexity, either to modify the list or access multiple elements of the list. For example, your list is my list and you have a square bracket, just have a 0 there. You only access 1 element of the list. Guess what? You won't earn this point. So really monitor this very carefully. Another common error is the kids identified a list in part 1 of the list session, and then they use another list in this part 2 of the list, and then they got a 0 for this. So very, very careful. This is a common error based on my students' performance. So we have to talk about, yeah.
Sorry, I have another question I want to interrupt with.
Okay.
Corey was asking if code comments are allowed in the PPR.
No, that's a great question. So code comment is not allowed anywhere in the PPR, but they are allowed in the source code. Actually, they encourage you to put in the source code as a reference. Okay, that's a great question. And also, you cannot have any personal identifiable information in the PPR nor the video. For example, in the background, when you make the video, you have your address or your name show in the video, then you cannot have it. So have nothing, have no narration, nothing, just a quiet screen casting. All right. So now, any other questions? Okay.
Yes, I do have one. Maybe it's a little technical. So it says when the student calls their featured procedure with an argument that is a variable name and not an actual concrete value, and the variable name changes value for the second and third call, how would you suggest a student notate and describe to the AP board that even though it looks like the same call, it is using different values when called multiple times?
Well, the value passing the argument to the procedure call, based on the situation, the readers know how to trace back. If they cannot read directly from the PPR, they will go to the source code and see how this value, where this argument get a passing down to this procedure call. So we know it. If they change it, for example, because the button click passing some value, different value to the procedure call, we know it. There are a lot of people there. For example, I'm one of the table leader for the CSP. So if we cannot determine, if the reader cannot determine, they give it to me. If I cannot determine, I'm gonna move up. So we know it as long as it's legit arguments passed on to the procedure call. That's a great question.
Thank you.
All right. So now we're going to take a look. We want to connect what we just talked about with the samples. So why is come to here? Okay, so let me go back. I should have the link. Okay, so let me link to this way. So if you look at this app, okay, so this, again, I'm bragging about Code High School. This is the Code High School sandbox feature. We use this so much, and I mean, from AP Classroom challenge questions, common errors, we come here and test out. It's just a great feature, and a share and a code together is just, it's awesome. Okay, so this is one of the apps my students developed. So you might ask, what can I do to help my kids initialize this, prepare the kids to be ready for the pre-test? What is the first first thing you do in your classroom to help kids understand the 6 curricular requirement for pre-test? So this is one of the things I have done to get them ready. So I pull out an app, okay? The app has minimal requirement of the create task. That it doesn't have to be complicated. And as you can tell, it has a list, and I have a procedure, and I have a procedure call. So the procedure call is here, right? And then I can use this as the part 2 of the list session. So this is what I have put here for there. And then I pull this out here, and this is the part 1 of the procedure, part 2 of the procedure, part 1 of the list, part 2 of the list. And that is enough for the kids to earn the credit for the 5 points for the program design. And guess what? The golden rule is the easier, the simpler the program is, their PPR is, the easier for them to do the written response. I have read so many PPRs, and the code is just so long, the kids doesn't even know how to explain it. They end up lose the point because they are sometimes overachievers. Or sometimes they use AI to create their code. They don't even understand. They think the more impressive, the longer the code is, the more complicated the code is, the better the chance they get the point. No, that's misunderstanding. So this is how easy it is to model the create task. You can talk about this, run this program, and then ask the kids to identify the procedure call list, and list manage complexity. At this point, your kids should have already done the 3.1 through 3.13, and then 1.1 to 1.4. The big idea. So once they done that, they should be able to identify all the 4 chunks of the code. And then this is the place we're going to start to really help them to develop common understanding of this pre-test PPR.
Shofin, I'm so
Yep.
glad that you mentioned students using AI
Mhm.
to create their code. We did have some questions about
Yeah.
how the College Board is handling that. And we do have about 15 minutes left. So
Oh
I
my.
want to make sure that we do have time to talk about plagiarism and then
Okay.
some of those other CodeHS resources.
Okay. So do you want me to answer that question first, or you want me just to move forward?
Why don't you go ahead and talk about plagiarism and we'll see
Okay.
if it gets answered.
So the AI, the College Board allow the kids to use AI to create their code, help them to solve the problem or troubleshooting or get help from it, just as they have their collaborative partners. Okay, so you are allowed to do that. However, it's students' responsibility to make sure the code they get from AI are accurate, doesn't have some kind of biases, doesn't have some errors, it doesn't produce the wrong result. And most importantly, they can explain. Okay, that's huge piece, but yes, they can use AI too. And then if they use AI, they have decided in their source code. College Board have a huge database. When your kids submit their PPR into their database, they're going to go against their database to see if your code is match. If it's match, your kid's going to get a call. So if they don't cite the source, they will get a 0. If the College Board said, oh, you have committed plagiarism, well, too bad you have a 0 for the 30 points. That's a lot. So I'm not going to have enough time to go through all my samples, but I just want to share with you this sample. I have a talk about it, and then this is a good sample for you guys to take home, and then get your kids work together or have some group activity to really create, score it, or analyze it so that they can have a common sense of what really PPR is, so that they can, based on their own code, to create PPR. There are a lot. I think it's 8, 9 of it. I'm going to quickly talk about the last piece. Let me see if this is the right one. So the last piece is case number 9. Okay, so this one, the kids have to use 2 lists. It's super, is super smart kid. Oh, this one is the right version. And then if you look at the list, he used task. And then before I gave him feedback, this is the practice test, not the real one. So he used task lists. It's another list in this class, in his design. So because of this, this 5 points get 0. So just be careful with when you mark your create task, make sure the list, the high flyer doesn't identify 2 lists. One is identified, another one is not being identified. They will get 0 for that. All right, so this is this piece, and this is a misunderstanding piece, and then that's another one. So you can play around. If you have a question, you can certainly contact Stephanie, and Stephanie can pass it on to me. I don't know if you can have my contact information, but anyways, we help. And then plagiarism, we just talk about this. The video, the images, anything is not yours. Cite it, cite. Just like you do your graduation, thesis, whatever, for College Board, for your college, they have to do the same thing, okay? And then this is the one that I just have answered to you. You can use it, but make sure you talk to them. The code complexity is really going to hurt them if they don't do it. So the submission, you have to submit. The student cannot collaborate with the video production and then with personal project reference. They cannot have comment in their PPR. If they do, they get a 0. We have one group of people, teachers, just to sort through, see if their PPR have comment. Have it, they threw it out. And then they will, when they submit their digital portfolio to College Board, they have to, they will be asked to attest that they follow the guidelines. They didn't commit plagiarism. And then this is another one. Please run through it and then take a look at it. And then this is the resource. I have a couple more minutes. So this is the resource I want to show you. It's a really cool resource. So you have to log in as a teacher account. So I'm going to show you quickly. So now I think I'm a teacher account, and yep, I'm going to go to teacher page. And then once I'm in the teacher page, you can look at assignment tab, and then you click on it, and then it's going to open up a new page. And then you have the search. Okay, so now come up. It's a little bit slow. So once come up, you will see all the cool features you don't see in the regular session. This is really good. The first one, oh, so they have a midterm exam, and what I love most, reader question bank quizzes. And this can help kids can poke their interest again, because we go through the AP classroom quizzes over and over again, right? They said, I already know all those questions, but this one is really cool. You assign them in CodeHS during your review. It's really helpful, and my kids love it. And then exam review, and have all sorts of good stuff here. The midterm review, unit tests, as assigned to them, and then create testing 1, 2, 3. I don't think I have a time to show you that. You can ask your kids to do that. So this piece is really great resources. It's time for you to look at it and assign to your students. And then I'm gonna put this up again. And then this one, you have the perform test 1, 2, 3. And then you can tell is the pinky arrow getting more and more. This is apply. This is one way you can teach your kids to start with the starter code, gradually build up each of the components, the selection statement, the iteration, add parameters in, and then beefed it up so that it meets the minimal requirement of the create task. And in this process, I really want to mention this. I hope this year the College Board will not use it as WR. Iterative and incremental design. This is a perfect example of that. You add piece code in, test out, add is incremental, test out is iterative, add more in and test out. Finally, everything is working. Bingo, you are done. So this is a great example of iterative incremental design. So one of the practice in my classroom, I asked them to, hey, describe, you have done this mock create test. So tell me, how do you use iterative incremental design to grow your project? That is the row 1 of the written response, the first box. They have to write 4. That's the first one. So now we have a lot of resources like Stephanie has mentioned. APCSP Resource Hub has 3 courses. You can use it to teach AP Computer Science principle. The JavaScript is exactly mirrored with Python one. Just use different language. The AP Computer Science principle, cybersecurity, is use JavaScript, but add cyber flavor to it. It's really cool. There are a lot of good feature there, and the CodeHS, and then another organization, I forgot about it, and then they are collaborating and develop this course. It's really super cool. I post some feature from here. And then their samples I have show you in unit 16. You can click those links, get there. I don't think I have time for you guys to really explore. Now, written response. I have one sample for you guys, but I don't know if I have time. I have 5 minutes. 2 minutes. So purpose function, this one is the first of the written response during the AP exam they have to do. I ask my kids practice and practice, practice. I hope they all get this. And then the error testing algorithm. You should, when you write the code, to tell them, ask them, where do you see the first Boolean evaluation? How do you change it so that it produces the same result? You're gonna model this. And this one, and error testing is the harder one. I have example for you guys. And then the last one is data abstraction. Call a procedure somebody else developed as a tool to do something with your code. So this is this, and then this. So you have a shopping list app there in Code High School. You have MCQ exam prep. You have perform task samples in Unit 16. You have material review, question of the day I use every day, and the big day on May 15th. And again, this is the page screenshots of Unit 16. You have everything there. And then this 4 category of a prompt is very important. You use it every day when you teach your kids, even after during the time they do the AP exam, they create task. You can do it. And then this one is a good example for you guys to see the WR based on the PPR I choose for you guys, but I don't have time to do it. That is one of the third boxes, error and testing. And then the last one, data abstraction. They did a great job. I choose good one for you guys. So basically you want them to have a general description and then have pseudocode. That's the key, double insurance. And this is the last piece, data and procedure abstraction. That's the hard one. All right, so during the time they do their create task, they cannot get any feedback from you. Okay, so they cannot get feedback. They must submit any work. If they submit it to College Board, they cannot revise anymore. You cannot provide any feedback to the prompts based on their create task. They submit to College Board. But you can, after May 1st, you can. Okay, they cannot collaborate on video production and in the PPR production. I think that's neat. I'm so sorry I overused your time.
No,
This is the
you're
resource.
fine. I do have a question about the video.
Okay.
One of my students asked yesterday, will students lose points if the code appears in the video?
No, they will not lose the point. They will, as long as they see the on the screen, they have like a Apple type in, and then score increase 1. They are good. And then that's a great question. And then this is the resource you can click through. And then this one, the first one is show you how you submit digital portfolio to College Board. The final thing is you have to finalize it. You have to see the 3 green check mark. If you don't see it, means you didn't finalize it yet. Once the kids finalize it, they cannot pull back. Okay, so this one is the handbook. The kids can use it. I think I'm done now. It's your turn.
Thank you, Shofen. I just have the biggest smile on my face because you bring such energy and such knowledge to this topic. I appreciate you so much. So, unfortunately, we are out of time with wonderful Shofen today, but we will be having more resources coming to you, AP CSP teachers. So please join our AP Facebook group, follow us on social media, and we do also have some additional events coming up. If you'll go to the next slide, Shofen. So we will have a preparing students for the AP CSP exam webinar on April 1st. So please sign up for that. We will have another teacher trainer leading that session, and she will also bring fabulous resources to that session. And then we will have an AP track for our CodeHS virtual teacher conference. If you'll go to the next slide, please. Our virtual teacher conference is a half-day free day of learning, and you can register at the website here that I will put in the chat. And then finally, before you go today, make sure you've gotten your certificate of completion. And then also, if you don't mind, giving us some feedback on this session. We love to hear what really clicked and helped you today. We also would love to hear what we can do better next time. I know time is always the #1 thing. We always want longer webinars, more time to digest this valuable information. So if you have any other tips for us, any other feedback, things that we might have missed today that you really wanted to learn about, we're happy to have you here, and we're happy to listen to your feedback. And we thank you so much for being here. And Shofen, amazing job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
We'll see you all soon. Bye.
Bye. All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Zia.